Let's speak now to some of the leadership of the African National Congress. I'm joined now by ANC NEC member, Mr. Zizi Kodwa. A good afternoon to you, and thank you so much for your time.
Thanks for the time.
I think before we even get very far, how you're feeling about where we are at this point, right? The program was meant to kick off at 8:30. It hasn't kicked off. We're hearing news from the chairperson of the party saying the conference will kick off, they're hoping, for 2 o'clock. But you still have hundreds of delegates that are in on Monday wanting to get their accreditation. What sense does that give you? Is there a sense that this is perhaps a party in disarray with some disorganization issues?
No, if you look at the history, Naledi, of the national conferences of the ANC, as far as I recall, none of them started on time for various reasons. You've got people who come from the furthest provinces, for example, a province called Western Cape, to come to Gauteng, but Samayaga bus is about 18 to 20 hours. You know that we don't do registration in provinces for a number of reasons. So when they gather here, about 5,000, it's quite a serious administrative, there are a number of challenges. We did well yesterday. At some point, I think the technology just got tired. And therefore, these are the challenges sometimes you do not anticipate. But I'm certain that we will start, as it was explained by our spokesperson, Pulemabe, as you said, as it was explained by our chairperson, we will start. In 2017, we were here. We did not start on time. It's always best, Naledi, to delay the plenary and allow logistics, whether it's accommodation and so on, because those issues, you don't want them to be brought to the plenary. You don't want people to come and complain in the plenary. Resolve those things, make sure that all legitimate delegates have been addressed and then they are inside. So this delay, it helps the plenary so that when the plenary commences, it proceeds. We're likely to proceed up until early hours, which we have done so in the past.
Unfortunately, though, you do have, as part of the program, some work to be done around credentials and the credentials process. And what you have outside of Omonde is hundreds of delegates that are faced by a door that has been closed, and many of them wanting to force that door open. Surely that going to not only mess with the credentials process, but of certifying the credentials of branch members, but also it may very well then bring about issues of the trust in the processes of the ANC within the members themselves.
No, Naledi, the process of accreditation, for example, does not only start here. There's a lot of work that takes place before we come to NASREC. There's audit of branches. In other words, you look at whether people are members in good standing, whether there are certain branches that qualify. There are a number of branches of the ANC did not meet the standard set in terms of guidelines to be here. So all that work is processed. When you gather here, already through provincial coordinating committees, through provincial secretaries, the work of credentials, we have a sense. All what happens here is confirmation of what comes from provinces, whether indeed correlates with what we have from a moment point of registration.
All right, let's leave the administrative issues alone now and really get into, I think,
I'm happy.
Yeah, the issues that South Africans are really concerned about, and that is going to be the outcomes of this conference. And there really are so many issues to start with, and I'm going to start with, I think, the hottest one at the moment, which is, as part of the program today, you've got discussions around amendments to the constitution of the party. In that agenda of that discussion is whether or not the party temporarily suspends the all-important step-aside rule. I mean, what does that conversation, in your view, what do you think that conversation is going to look like?
I've no doubt that conversation will come through various reports, including the organizational report, which may reflect the views from provinces. You remember, preceding this meeting, we held what was called provincial general councils. They've had their views about these issues. The step aside, when it was adopted, interestingly, on these very same grounds, 5 years ago, it was in the context of renewing the African National Congress, appreciating what we referred to in 2015 at the NGC, which was held at Galaga Estate, that there are new phenomenons which have led to the electoral decline in the party. Among others, the issues of ethics, the morality, issues of corruption, the issues of gatekeeping, the issues of the organization that has been infiltrated by members who do not aspire communities and so on. So it was in that context, but the question which has been raised by provinces is the application of the principle. It's not to reject it totally, to say, I think it has been selectively applied, and I think we'll hear more in the debate. There will be more other related discussions around how to strengthen renewal of the African National Congress.
Talk to me. Right. Give me a bit the examples of where we've seen that the way that the step aside rule has been implemented has not been fair across the board. Give me those examples.
For an example, one of the guidelines that came from the National Executive Committee mandated by the conference here was that developed guidelines. One of the guidelines the NEC adopted was that people who are criminally charged with serious offenses, the view of that emerges from provinces is that probably should also either you expand that to include whether people who are seriously facing serious allegations, for an example. It's a debate because there mustn't be a sense in the organization that a policy is developed to expunge or to exclude certain comrades. When we have a sense in the organization that there are certain policies that deliberately are meant to exclude certain comrades, we have a problem in the organization. And then strengthens attitudes and strengthens factionalism in the organization.
Yeah. What does that then say about how the party deals with members who do not toe the party line in various structures, like the National Assembly?
No, they were very unapologetic. Throughout the world, there is no party that takes itself serious and allows its members to do as they wish. It's a global practice. Whether you're talking about left or centric parties or right-wing and so on. That's why in opposition, not a single member of the opposition in parliament voted against the party line, because they were towing a party line. Because party line is part essentially of what defines what is an organization. It's unity. There is no person who can go suddenly, you are on the list of the party to be deployed to the chamber, to the legislature, or to the council. Suddenly, you just ignored the party line. And these are the issues that are important as we go along as a constitutional state. How do we make sure that these issues do not cause contradictions between the constitution of the republic as well as what I refer to as a party line? Yeah. They were unapologetic. That when you join an association, Naledi, there are certain individual rights you immediately cease to have. You belong to a collective.
Yeah, and you represent that.
That's why when you join an association, there are moments you don't lose I. You don't use I. Not I as in metal. I as an individual. You say we. Even if I was a spokesperson of the ANC.
Of course.
I used to smile and explain decisions that I did not like. But I respected those decisions. Even on views that I lost in the meeting. Right. But I used to present them, Sakina can tell you, I used to present them with a smile as though I'm an originator of those views. It's party discipline.
Okay. There you have it, ANC NEC member Mr. Zizi Kodwa having a very busy day, but squeezing us in there for that chat.